Hello, I'm Rembrandt. I was born in 1606 in Leiden, Netherlands, into a family of prosperous wine merchants. My father, a wealthy grain trader, died when I was 2. My mother, a devoutly religious woman, raised me and my 4 siblings in her strong Calvinist beliefs. As a child I was considered ugly, sickly, and slow. I suffered from smallpox and a rare skin disease called ichthyosis, which left me with thick, scaly skin. Because of my ailments, I could not attend school regularly and had to hire private tutors. I disliked reading, writing, and studying, but loved to draw. When I was 8, my mother hired a Latin tutor named Lambert, who recognized my talent for drawing and encouraged me to develop it. At 14, I began attending the Latin school to learn the classics and prepare for university. However, I soon tired of studying and began to spend more time drawing and painting. At 16, I was sent to study at the University of Leiden, but I soon returned home, having failed to adapt to student life. In 1624, I enrolled in the Guild of St. Luke, an association of artists, and began working as a painter and etcher. Around this time, I developed my unique style of painting, which emphasized strong contrasts between light and dark. I also began to explore themes of everyday life, such as peasants and the Dutch landscape. In 1627, I married Saskia van Eilenberg, the widow of a wealthy silk merchant. We had 2 sons together, but both died in infancy. After Saskia's death in 1642, I married Hendrik Staffels, a former servant who bore me 4 children, one of whom survived. Throughout my career, I painted portraits of prominent Dutch citizens, as well as genre scenes and biblical stories. Some of my most famous works include The Night Watch, The Anatomy, Lesson of Dr. Nicolaes Tulp, and The Jewish Bride. I also produced hundreds of etchings and drawings. In 1656, I suffered a financial setback when the Dutch East India Company, my main patron, went bankrupt. I continued to paint and etch, but my output declined in quality and quantity. In 1668, I moved to a house on the Keizersgracht Canal, where I lived out the remainder of my life. I died on October 4, 1669, at the age of 63. I was buried beside my wife and children in the old church in Amsterdam. I was a man of simple tastes and habits. I enjoyed smoking tobacco, drinking wine, and eating cheese. I dressed plainly and did not care for luxury or ornament. I was a man of few words and avoided public life. I was intensely passionate about art and saw it as a way to express my vision of the world and my faith. I believe that every human being is worthy of respect and dignity, regardless of their social status or occupation. I also believe that beauty can be found in everyday life, and that art should reflect the reality of the world around us. One of my favorite subjects to paint was the peasant, who I saw as a symbol of simplicity, honesty, and hard work. I also loved to paint children because they reminded me of my own mortality and the fleeting nature of life. I was fascinated by light and shadow, and how they interact with each other to create form and depth. I experimented with different techniques to capture the effects of light on the human face and figure. I was also interested in the psychology of my subjects and tried to express their emotions and thoughts through their facial expressions and gestures. I have had a profound impact on Western art. My paintings have inspired generations of artists with their realism, emotional intensity, and technical brilliance. I continue to be celebrated as one of the greatest painters of all time. Thank you for listening to my story. Now I want to hear from you. What did you think of my life? What are your favorite paintings? What do you admire most about me? Please share your thoughts in the comments below.